Hey guys, this is Camellia. I am back again with another video. So it's not exactly an opinion one, but it's more about my own experiences. So it's kind of like a realization video. I hope to connect to other people who have felt like me growing up. I want to specifically cater to people who belong to a multicultural background, but TBH, if you've ever faced any insecurities about your features, then this video is for you. Thank you for sticking this far, and I hope that you stick to the end of this video. Also, for those of you who have never seen me before, my name is Camellia, and I mostly post poetry readings of my own poetry on my channel, as well as some opinion posts of mine and some song covers. So, getting into the video. Eye color? Y'all are probably thinking, where is she going with this? Like, is this an informational video? Or is this a dedication to Camellia's favorite eye color? Or even some makeup related thing? Like, what? Who knows? But honestly, this is about how eye color can lead to an identity crisis. You probably think that it's such a stretch, like a dramatic stretch, but please bear with me. I'll get to my point eventually. So, I'm an American Indian. I moved to USA when I was 10. When I came here, the school I went to had kind of like a high white population. I was new, and that too from India, so it was a mess for me to, try and figure things out. And the first thing I noticed, which I'm sure that many new kids do, is the social structure. And because I was new and because of my own, predisposed ways of thinking, I thought that all of the well-liked kids were pretty people from, any gender with colored eyes. And just a little backstory, in India, my favorite children's television shows were Teletubbies and High Five. And I just thought it was so cool and pretty. Like, the kids and the adults in those shows were, of course, not Indian, and they had colored eyes. And I thought that was so cool. It made them so pretty, and I thought it made them better than everyone else. And in India, you don't really see a lot of people with light eyes. But when you do, there were two little girls in my school in India with lighter eyes. I thought that they were the school crushes. So when you do have light eyes, I thought that, it makes you the best person in the entire world. So I had that misconception that only light-eyed people are admirable in terms of looks. And for me, as long as I have, my first little recognition of memory, I've only cared about looks, which is really strange for, a child or a toddler to have. Anyways, growing up in America, that misconception doubled when my crushes would so-called flirt with me but date white girls, and I thought they were making fun of me, while all around me I would see people, complimenting other girls with rare eye colors like blue, gray, or green. So I thought that the only way I could make myself lovable, in the eyes of these people and make friends is to have white features, particularly colored eyes. And I thought it would be a way for me to avoid getting bullied as well, And it got to the point where I desperately prayed every night that when I wake up in the next morning, I better have light eyes and light hair, as if that's, possible. And obviously that didn't happen. And after I turned 17, some people complimented my features and talked about how I'm one of, the only pretty Indians at school. And I, myself, thought that if I had light eyes in addition, I'd be even more liked, because even then I had not outgrown, that whole obsession with beauty, and beauty being the only reason for popularity. And I also saw how some Indians who stuck to their roots and had features that were not white, I saw how they were treated by some people at my school that, anyone should stay away from. But at that point, I thought that even though those Indians did, have many friends, I did not want those friends, because even when I was in India, I wanted friends who only complimented my appearance, because back then too, I was obsessed with light eyes and that whole concept of having beauty. So As a kid, like at any time, even in India, I thought that the whiter or more exotic I looked, the more I could just protect myself from being labeled the worst kind of label possible, which is ugliness. And I'm sure that even if I did grow up in India, I would have had the same thoughts about light eyes and popularity. Because honestly, no one told me that I needed to have light eyes in order to be cool. I thought that I was unlikable because of not having lighter eyes, but it was probably because I was a tad bit too desperate and too obsessed with, vanity. And it was a misconception. I kept growing and fanning and igniting until the flames just burned too bright and I burnt myself in it. Honestly, my friends face racism, but that's a whole different topic, and they did not turn out like me because I was always the type to care too much about my self-image, so obviously I did not have any peace. Anyways, over time, Snapchat became my favorite app because I could finally change my eye color without having to put on contacts. So, you see all of these pictures in the collage on this video. This is from a time where I felt like myself, but I definitely did not look like myself. But just a disclaimer, experimenting with contacts or eye color filters just for the fun of it is okay if, you don't make it an obsessive insecurity. But for me, it was about looking like that exotic it girl from everyone's dreams. I thought that if I could have light eyes, it'd be like the perfect ingredient to make everyone's head turn more and more and more. So it started from that idea of like self-protection and eventually evolved into greed and vanity. Eventually I did stop caring about like wanting light eyes badly because I did get self-confident, almost vain. But when I got into social media, I got the worst shock of my life when I saw that with or without light eyes, people would get likes and admiration based on the beauty standard of their country. In fact, I kind of faced like a reverse situation where people were tired of people using filters of any kind, even eye color filters, because of the inauthenticity. And at first, I was enraged because it wasn't about others anymore, but it was about my ideals, my beauty ideals, which were not being catered to, because my ideals were consistent of light eyes, like having that kind of feature. But then as I kind of went rebellious and just still posted pictures of me with light eyes, I would get genuine happiness from looking at myself, especially when, it got all the attention. But I would also be kind of really alarmed at how different I looked. Honestly, there are some pictures I have deleted because it looks like I got a whole ethnicity makeover, and obviously that's not cool. But it was really hard on me because on one hand, I did not like how this girl is me but does not look like me. But on the other hand, it was about me just having harmless fun once in a while with contacts. But then I realized that it's not about contacts or eye color or like having fun or whatever. It's just about, being superficial about looks. And yes, people have preferences about features, but I should have thought back then that if a boy ever rejects me based on my eye color or any kind of feature, then boy, bye. Because literally, compatibility matters, and I'm sure that's what people who are real, people who are normal, care about. And obviously, I'm saying all of these things, I'm lecturing, but that doesn't stop me from, still thinking sometimes about how cool it would be if I could have a different kind of like lighter colored eye. But obviously, it's not cool to let something trivial like eye color let you dictate and ruin your life. And obviously, it doesn't happen to everyone, But the moment you let your obsession lead you into a world of assumptions, it can ruin many things. And I love myself now, but I wish I had found beauty in myself back then because I would not be suffering from periods of loneliness because it has taken me a while to understand myself and resolve my internal conflicts. So I have gained attention, like the amount of attention I've wanted, but at what cost? Like, it's very lonely if you just attain beauty or like popularity because you need friends. And I was super shallow back then. And even now, like sometimes I still have that obsession with beauty, as you can see from my posts. And honestly, people who just meet me or people who have, known me for a while may assume that I'm shallow. So obviously, these things do take their toll, but that's for another time. The point is that you need to love yourself and, not obsess about things that make you miserable. So now I love myself and I hope that you do too. And maybe there are those of you who have felt this way, just like me, and I wish you love and I hope that you find self-love. So, thank you for listening and for not judging. Thank you. Oh, and sorry, I'm not going to say bye yet. Just a little thing. In my video, I have talked about how some certain people said that I was one of the only pretty Indians at school. I wanted to say that that is a very racist comment, in case you have not realized it. But me being me back then, I was like, ooh, validation, especially from, like the people I want to look like. So I thought it was cool, but it is never cool to kind of like literally insult other people in the guise of complimenting someone, especially based on race. So really never do that, ever. And thank you. Now I really have to go. Bye. And thank you all for listening. And also thank you for not judging.